Hello, FS 101 students, and welcome to the presentation regarding financing your education, financial aid 101. This presentation is meant to provide you with some basic information regarding financial aid, which is truly an important component to your success in college. So we're going to go over the four primary forms of student aid or financial aid: federal aid, state aid, Avila University aid, and outside scholarships. So first, federal student aid. Federal student aid is received by completing the free application for federal student aid. You may know that to be the FAFSA. And there are, again, three primary sources of aid associated with the FAFSA. The first one is grants. Grant is usually a need-based financial aid opportunity, and because it is a grant, it does not need to be repaid. The second is a loan. Those are basically loans that you would borrow from the federal government and that you and or the federal government pay interest on, which I'll get into in a moment. And the third source of aid is work study. That is, again, you are granted work study through the federal government, and you would work on Avila University's campus. There are two primary types of grants. The first one is called the Federal Pell Grant, and the second one is called the Federal Supplemental Educational Opportunity Grant. You may hear it in a shorter, condensed version called the FSEOG, and both are options to students, and they are, again, need-based aid that is determined on the FAFSA. There are also different types of other grants that the federal government offers, and I have listed two of those options here. Again, there may be others in the future, but this will give you an idea, and if either of these apply to you, you may want to pause the screen and learn more about them. All right, then there are also loans, and loans are mainly divided into two different types of loans. One would be a subsidized loan and one is an unsubsidized loan. Basically, the difference between those two types of loans is that the Department of Education pays for the interest while the student is in school with a subsidized loan. With an unsubsidized loan, the borrower is responsible to pay for that interest. The other thing that I'll mention is both undergraduate and graduate students, for those of you that are interested in pursuing an advanced degree, are eligible to receive the unsubsidized loan. I have put or left the federal Perkins loan up here, although know that it is no longer an option. It is no longer a federally sponsored program, but I left it here because you may have heard about it. It recently was discontinued, but you may have had siblings that received a Perkins loan. And then the other program that we do continue to offer, the federal government does, is the Direct Plus loan. It is an additional opportunity for loan money. And if that is something that you're interested in receiving, then you can talk with financial aid about qualifying for that loan. This is just a different way to look at, again, the difference between subsidized and unsubsidized loans. Again, the bottom line is that unsubsidized loans, the borrower is responsible for the interest. Lastly, again, we've got work study. You qualify for work study through the FAFSA, and again, you work at Avila University and receive a paycheck. A little bit more information about work study, because some of you would have received information indicating that you qualify for work study, but maybe you haven't acted on receiving a work study position. And in this assignment, Canvas assignment, I have put a link to the financial aid page, which also lists different offices that are hiring work study. All right, so a little bit of information about the FAFSA, or the free application for federal student aid. It is something that you're going to need to do annually. So every year you will complete the FAFSA. We call it renewing the FAFSA once you've completed it initially. But now is the time to renew your FAFSA. It is open for you to be able to get online and renew it. And I've listed the website here, but also included it again in the Canvas assignment. Something that I think there's confusion and it seems like maybe it's complicated, but really it isn't. So I wanted to, I thought it was worth exploring a little bit and maybe explaining what we mean by financial need. So you'll see up here in the left-hand corner, every single institution, including Avila, has what we call a cost of attendance. And so a cost of attendance includes things like tuition and fees and room and board. It also includes things like your transportation to and from campus and books and supplies. And so again, every institution has a cost of attendance. By completing the free application for federal student aid, each family, if you will, has what's called an EFC, and that is an acronym for Expected Family Contribution. And your EFC is determined by completing the FAFSA. So basically, your need is determined, you'll see in the bottom of the slide, is determined by taking the cost of attendance and subtracting what the federal government expects your family to contribute, and that equals your need. So hopefully that gives you a little bit more information or helps explain what can be complicated. Some additional resources. There's state aid. This would apply to students if you're a Missouri resident. And again, I have included a link on the Canvas assignment because there are deadlines associated with it, but it can be a great source of additional grant money. We also have Avila University aid. This would be academic aid, athletic aid, faith-based aid, and performance aid. And again, most of those are in the form of scholarships for students, so they do not need to be repaid. Then there are outside scholarships. And the reason why I mention this is because I do feel like this is a source of financial aid that a lot of students don't necessarily pursue. And so again, I've included on our Canvas assignment a link that can provide you with a laundry list of different links that you can look at and see if you might qualify for outside scholarships. So I'd encourage you to check into that. Another detail that I think that is helpful as we begin the registration process here is how do you find your balance or how much you owe the university and how do you make a tuition payment? And you actually do that on MyAU and you do that under the Finances tab. Know that in order to register for classes, you need to check or you may have what's called an unpaid tuition account. And if you have that type of a hold on your account, then you will not be able to register for classes. And so that's something that you'll want to check into prior to registration. And if you have questions, then you can come to the business office. The business office is located in the Center for Student Excellence here in HOTUS. And please feel free to stop by if you have questions. All right, and finally, if you have questions about financial aid, about your financial aid or how to qualify for work study, or you have some questions about outside scholarships, I would encourage you to come on over to HOTUS, to the Center for Student Excellence, and ask any questions that you might have. Lastly, your assignment. Your assignment is to take action on something financial aid related. So again, I provided you with links in this assignment on the Canvas assignment page. And taking action could be that you might renew your FAFSA or at least start that process. You might apply for an outside scholarship or you might apply for a work study position. But nevertheless, your assignment is to take action on something related and to share that with your instructor in the text box. Thank you so much. I hope everybody has a great day.